Your alternative talk radio contact. The Planet. KGRAradio.com.
With infinite complacence, people went to and fro over the earth about their little affairs, serene in the assurance of their dominion over this small, spinning fragment of solar driftwood, which by chance or design, man has inherited out of the dark mystery of time and space.
All the times that I've seen your name, for some reason I want to say Familant, but it's adding an I there that is not there. So yeah, Familant makes a lot more sense.
That's like 99% of the people that try to pronounce my last name say that. So yeah.
Yeah, okay, I don't feel so bad now. I don't know why, it rolls off the tongue that way, or at least my brain wants to process it that way. So on this edition of Into the Fray, I have Mike Familant, and he, of course, runs the YouTube channel, the Facebook pages, and does video DVDs out of New Jersey. And it is titled In the Shadow of Big Red Eye. And, of course, that is what Bigfoot in New Jersey is called, right, Mike?
Yeah, yep, absolutely. It was actually coined out of High Point State Park in, I believe it was 1972. A park ranger reported seeing some large glowing red eyes and reported it to, the newspapers, and that's where the term came from. So it's kind of cool. A little history right up in our neck of the woods up here.
Absolutely. So that was from a park ranger?
Yeah, State Park, High Point State Park ranger, yep.
Hyde Point. Where in the state is that?
That's a very tip-top north part of the state. It's kind of like the armpit of Pennsylvania and New York.
Okay. I know right where that's at. Do they get a lot of reports in Hyde Park still to this day?
On High Point? There is. The reports are kind of, New Jersey in itself isn't a huge state for Bigfoot reports. In the grand scheme of things, if you take New Jersey as a whole, that area, the Kinnitty Mountain Range, is a pretty popular area. That, and of course, down south in the Pine Barrens is another. Those are the two main areas for Bigfoot reports.
Yes, Pine Barrens, and then other things there as well, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So while we get into this, and if people want to go ahead and look you up, why don't we go ahead and throw out a couple places they can find you while we're going to get into this stuff.
Sure, sounds good. Facebook page is In the Shadow of Big Red Eye. That's kind of, we post some behind the scenes things, updates on the show and stuff like that. The YouTube channel is called Sussex County Bigfoot, and or you could search in the YouTube channel In the Shadow of Big Red Eye or whatever, and it'll pop up. Then we do have an Instagram page too, Shadow of Red Eye. Perfect. So you guys are more than welcome to like, subscribe, comment, share, whatever, all that stuff.
And you guys also have some DVDs out, right, for purchase?
Yeah, we do have DVDs for sale. We have T-shirts for sale that we wear on the show. A lot of people, they're not huge sellers, which especially the DVDs, because people will come up and they ask me like, we'll back up just a second. I put all of my shows on YouTube, so it's not like I'm not in it to make money. That's not why I do the show at all. But as you could imagine, it does cost money to go on these expeditions. So we did put together. Right now we have a season 1 and 2 DVD combination, and they're $20, and that I think is more than reasonable. And that covers all the money. It goes to like I said, I'm in the hole when it comes to making the show 100%. So I'm not making anything on this.
Yeah.
But what's another cool aspect of it is a all the profits, I kind of keep a tally and of what we sell throughout the year, and depending on how much and stuff, at the end of the year, we'll make a donation to a local animal shelter up here in Sussex County. So it's near and dear to my heart. So yeah, it's just it's kind of a little way of giving back.
I like that, giving back to the animals. And you know what I have to say about you taking all of your YouTube videos and just putting them in one spot, condensing them down is a smart idea. Then everybody can just have one place, or I should say 2 places, because there's 2 separate DVDs, but shop for all of you guys' episodes, right? Instead of maybe not everybody's a fan of thumbing through all the YouTube stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. And with the DVDs too, I did put on there. There's a couple of like little short episodes that it didn't end up getting made into like a full episode. And then there's like a behind the scenes thing, which it's very hard to do because like I don't know, for the people that have watched my show, they understand like my show is very different when it comes to like the production and stuff. It's a very raw show. There's not a lot of editing. There's obviously there has to be editing throughout the episode, but we show the stuff that other shows don't show. We show like the campfire chat, the the behind the scenes stuff that the big TV show productions kind of edit out, and I like it because it's fun. But like I said, going back to the DVDs, I did put on like a behind the scenes bloopers kind of thing. It was really hard to do because all the bloopers are in the actual show, but I did manage to find some. So.
Yeah, we all tend to trip over words or maybe say a little bleep bloop or something, which I think that a lot of people like to see that, we're all just normal people doing something that we love, and we're all just kind of goofballs sometimes, and that's okay.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And another reason why I made the show is I want people to relate to this experience. The big part behind it is I think people are too connected nowadays. Everybody's on their phones constantly, and I say that as my laptop's in front of me and we're talking on the phone right now.
Right.
But it's everybody's too connected, and people don't explore nature enough. So like if I could get, by making the show, if I can get one family or group of friends to do something, just to go outside and take a hike or get into something. It doesn't even have to be Bigfooting. It could be like, survivalist stuff or hiking or fishing, anything like that. Just anything outside, and just to see something that they wouldn't see sitting on their couch. That's why I made the show. And if I could do that, then my goal is complete for the show.
I like that. Get the hell outside, guys. Take a hike, will you? I like that. So, Mike, why Bigfoot? What got you into the subject?
Okay. Well, it's a good question. So I was a fan of the TV show that everybody is familiar with, and I was living down in Florida with my ex-fiance, and we were a fan of the show. We would watch it and whatever, and I got bored at work one day, so I went on their website and I saw that they had like, you can go out with these people on expeditions, and you can pay this extravagant amount of money and go out with these people. And I was like, hun, let's go on a Bigfoot expedition, so I bought the tickets, and for a lot of money. They charge a lot of money, but it's something cool, like a little vacation that we were going to do. So we broke up, and the tickets are non-refundable. So I was then challenged with the task of finding somebody to come with me on this expedition. So I had just moved up. I was living in Bradenton, which is kind of by Sarasota, and I moved up to Tampa for a job on the ambulance there. And it was like my first month at work, and this trip was coming up, and here I am trying to like ease my way into a conversation. Hey, do you want to go camping and look for Bigfoot?
Yeah.
With these new people that I have no idea who they are. So finally, I asked he's my best friend now, Jimmy, and I was like, Jimmy, not for nothing, but do you want to go look for Bigfoot in North Florida? And he kind of looked at me funny. He's like, dude, I've always wanted to do that. I was like, perfect.
That worked out well.
We were off. Yeah. No.
You're like, phew.
Yeah, you have no idea. And we were planning this thing for a while. But anyways, so we went up to North Florida, FRAY State Park. It's beautiful. It's up in the Panhandle, right next to like kind of Georgia border, and beautiful, beautiful area. And we're camping with this organization, and there's like 50 or 60 people there. And we would, during the day we would go on hikes and kind of talk, and then at night we would go on these night hikes and walk around the woods with these people. And everybody was really strange, but that's okay, because I kind of like that, because I'm a little strange too. So
no, are you talking about the fellow Bigfooters, the people that paid to come on it, or the people running it, or both?
Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody was a little. They were a couple fries short of a Happy Meal, and and that's perfectly fine though, because like I don't know, like they were nice people, very interesting.
People probably say that about us, though, really, too, right? Like,
yeah. I would love to be on a fly on the wall with trying to hear what people have to say about me. But anyway, so we set up our camp like a little out, like away from everybody, because we didn't know these people. It was our first time. It was my first time ever camping. I've never camped prior to this expedition. I was always inside, video game type of thing. So we camped like far away, and the trip was going pretty uneventful. And it was the last night, I believe it was a Saturday night. And me and Jimmy, we were leaving in the morning, and we decided, I was like, hey, there's a meteor shower tonight. Why don't we stay up and just, make a little fire by ourselves and, chat, and, why not? Let's just watch the meteor shower. We're out in the middle of nowhere. It's beautiful, whatever. So it's like 3:00 in the morning. We're doing that. It's beautiful. I'm into astronomy too, so seeing the meteor shower is great. And all of a sudden we hear like tree knocks, and we hear that's something is possible Bigfoot communication, how they communicate. So we hear this like tree knock from one side of camp, and it's like, okay, that's whatever, cool, whatever. It's probably just like a woodpecker or something. I don't know. And keep in mind, I've never been camping before, so I don't know any of these sounds that are out in the woods. And then, like, I don't know, a minute later, we hear another one from the complete opposite side of camp. And, like, a ways away. And, like, I was kind of thinking, I'm like, oh, wow. This is how they get people to come back on these expeditions. Like, there's two people in the woods knocking back and forth to try to like get our money's worth. I'm like, okay, I see how it is. That's kind of cool, Not that I'm going to pay that amount of money to come on one of these things again, but that's cool. So we're sitting there. About 15 minutes later, a rock gets thrown at us. It lands about, 10 feet away from our little campfire thing, and it was maybe, maybe fist size if you were to hold up a fist. And you could hear it like crashing through the trees. And I was like, I get scared at that point, because like, what's going on, right?
Yeah, now you're like, that's a whole nother level of commitment to making us think that there's things in the woods, right?
Exactly. I'm thinking these guys are crazy. I'm like, wow, they got to be, they got good aim. Like they got some, some cojones on them. You're throwing rocks at these people. Like, I know I signed a thing that said I can't sue them if I get hurt, but holy crap. But anyways, so my buddy's like, I'm scared at this point. I'm terrified. And my buddy's like, well, if you want to go sleep in the car. And as soon as he said car, I was my sleeping bag, my pillow, all of my gear. I was beelining it right to the car, because we were car camping. And then he finally taught me. He's like, Mike, this is why we're here. This is what Bigfoot do. Why don't you just enjoy it? And I was like, you know what? You're right. So we sit back down by the fire and we're listening. And over the next, half hour or so, maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes, there's like 4 or 5 more of these fist-sized rocks that you hear coming through the trees and landing next to us, and all in the kind of the same spot, never right next to us, but close enough to, kind of be like, oh, what's going on type of thing. So I'm still thinking it's these people, and I'm thinking, okay, now, this is like some, deliverance type stuff going on in the middle of the woods with these crazy people.
Yeah.
I was like, no cell phone service. I'm like, okay, this is how a horror movie starts, and this is going to be the next, deliverance that we're in right now. So my buddy, he's like, you know what? I got an idea. And I'm sitting there still terrified. He's like, I'm going to throw a rock back at it. And I said, I don't know if that's a good idea. Because if you think about it, it's a lose-lose situation, because he's going to throw one of these rocks back at it. So say it's like a Bigfoot. Okay, well, if it's a Bigfoot, you're going to piss it off. And if it's not a Bigfoot, then it's a person, and you're going to potentially hit somebody. Like that, how is that a good scenario for anything to work out? So he does. He throws a rock, back in the direction, and it obviously it didn't have the force. It did, he's got a good arm, but it didn't get the distance that the other rocks were coming, at us from. And I knew at that exact moment that it wasn't a person, because take I don't know, the best way, take like a normal size laptop or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the rock that now came through the trees and landed about 5 feet from us.
Uh-oh.
So yeah, and then everything was done. Nothing else happened. Scared the crap out of me. But then we left the expedition and everything, and I started really getting into it. I started thinking okay, that had to be something out there. I don't think a person could have done that. Then we went back the next day and we kind of did measurements, not like official measurements, but kind of line of eyes type things. And the where the rocks were coming from, the trajectory that they came down through the trees, it was like the person, whatever was throwing the rocks, were they had to be 400 something yards away, because there was you could tell, because it had to cross over a valley, because you could hear them come through the trees. And so that led me to think well, what can do that? That's obviously outside of human range.
So you guys, you and Jimmy were set up separately from the rest of the group. So was the rest of the group even aware that this was going on with you guys?
Not at all. Nothing. We kind of explained what happened the next day, and they're like, oh yeah, I thought I heard a tree knock or something, but I was asleep. And that's all that they got. So I don't know if they believed us or not, but I know what happened.
That reminds me of Land of the Lost, with the newer one with Will Ferrell. And then Danny McBride's he's like, oh, they're tied up in some vines or something, and then there's a dinosaur coming after them, and Will Ferrell's just like, oh yeah, I see this all the time. It's no big deal. And Danny McBride's like, oh yeah, sure, because this happens every day. Yeah, you guys aren't phased. I get it. I'm sure you guys were probably like, oh, I thought it was a tree knock. I just stayed in the tent. It's boring by now.
Yeah, I mean, but it was really interesting, and that's what really got me into it, because prior to that trip, we didn't see really anything that was related to anything Bigfoot evidence or Bigfoot-y.
Yeah.
So, and then it got me thinking, and I started looking into reports for Florida and stuff. And I was just like, you know what, with all these reports that are, that I've read and everything, and, some of these videos that I've seen online, and just what happened to us, there has to be something out there. There's too many. It doesn't make sense if something is not out there. And that's when I decided to make it my goal. Just personally, I wanted to know what was out there. So that began the obsession and the addiction. Bigfooting is an addiction. I strongly advise everybody, before they get into it, just be prepared, because it does take hold of you, especially when you get some activity.
Yeah.
And that years later, I'm here doing this show and talking to you on, about it. That's really, it's awesome how it progressed. I'm excited that, it happened the way it did.
It is a lovely sickness. It really is.
Yeah.
So for you, Mike, I mean, I know that you've been in this for years now and you guys go out quite a bit. So have you seen one? Or, if you haven't, have you been, you already talked about the, it's 4 letters, the 4-letter trip that you went on that obviously you had the rock throws and everything. But, I mean, have you been really close to one? Have you seen one?
Well, I've not seen one. And let me rephrase that. I don't think I've seen one. I think we've gotten, and I don't even want to say we've gotten close to them. I think they've gotten close to us.
Right.
And we've found throughout the years, we were just talking about High Point. It's a really awesome area. We found like 15.5-inch tracks up there. That's actually the one that you posted on Instagram and Facebook, the one in the snow.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. That's where that's from.
Yeah, that's along like this fire cut in the middle of the forest. And what was cool about that, just real quick, was like I had been talking to a witness that has found, like as he put it, thousands of footprints throughout the years in the snow up there. So I was like, okay, he sent me some pictures, and I was like, yeah, I mean, this guy is probably, I mean, thousands of footprints. Like, come on,
Right.
So, but I was like, you know what? Let's meet him up there anyway. So it was like a February morning, and met him up there, fresh snow on the ground. We were the first people up there. It was like 8 o'clock in the morning. It snowed the night before, so you could tell if anybody had, walked through there, walked their dogs or anything. And we were the first people there. I can guarantee you that. And he's like, yeah, well, let's walk down to the area that I found these thousands of prints in. So I'm like, okay, humor me. And we're walking to the area, and we come across that thing. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, we were there before that guy was there. Like, he didn't make these. And, we followed that trackway for about 50 feet. It wasn't on the fire road. It was parallel to it. It was going over like bushes and stuff. And then in one step, it crossed over this fire road and then boom, off into the woods. And we lost track of it in the kind of frozen ground where the snow had, underneath some brush and stuff. We couldn't follow it any further.
Well, that track was so cool because especially where the toes had melted down, it was exactly where a big toe to the second toe and then on down would naturally fall. So, not that it's impossible to do that or to recreate that from a person, but it just caught my eye. I thought it was such an interesting track.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I've showed that to a few different people, and the only thing that people say is, it could be a bear, which is true. Sussex County, where we're at in New Jersey, we have the highest density of black bear population in the Northeast. So we have a lot of bear up here, and I've been fooled in the past with bear tracks because the way that a bear steps, it does the double step, the front and the back foot. It does look like a Bigfoot print, but going through these measurements and I took multiple photos with a scale item, my tape measure, which is, if anybody's into Bigfoot research that is watching this, always, if you take a picture of the trackway or something, put a scale item into it. I can't tell you how many pictures people have sent me that are really good but don't have a scale item in it. Yeah. I can't even like go. I can't look at them because it's like, well, I don't know how big this thing is.
Yeah, it could be 6 inches or 16.
Right, and they're like, well, look at the leaf. It doesn't help.
There are different size leaves. Oh my God.
But So I took these measurements and I was kind of researching online about black bear prints and sizes and stuff. And if this was a black bear print, just with the dimensions, the width and the length of the tracks, it would have been like it would have been a state record size black bear plus 200 pounds.
Okay, so, well, that lends some credence to it maybe not being a bear then, unless you guys happen to come across, the guy just a few hours behind. So interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not going to claim, on any of my shows and my episodes and just talking, I never claim anything's a Bigfoot because I don't know. I'm not an expert. Nobody knows. We just kind of have theories and ideas and stuff.
Nobody's an expert.
I don't like people
exactly.
that, it grinds my gears a little bit when people say, oh, that's not a Bigfoot or that is a Bigfoot. And it's like, well, how do you know?
How the hell
nobody
do you
knows.
know? Yes, thank you. No, I love that you said that. And yeah, I appreciate that when researchers will actually come out and say, I'm not an expert. In fact, nobody is. And I'm like, amen. Thank you. How can you be? How could you be? You can't be.
No, I mean, you can't even say, people say, I'm on some of these Facebook pages and people are saying, oh, Bigfoots don't exist. It's like, well, how do you prove something doesn't exist?
Right. Well, yeah, that's the other side of the spectrum. And that's also a stretch.
You can't do it.
No.
I don't know. That's my little 2-second rant about nobody's an expert on this, and people are intelligent and they have intelligent viewpoints.
Absolutely.
And they've done their research, but nobody can claim that they know anything about a Bigfoot for sure because nobody does.
And I would hazard to say, unless you actually, found a body or you shot one, and that's a whole nother issue, and I'll probably ask you about your opinions on that later, but unless you did that, or you happen to be hanging out with them in their cave or their hood or their, the Bigfoot clan or whatever for months and months or years on end, like a Diane Fossey situation, unless it's one of those two things, I don't want to hear the word expert. It's not applicable.
When you say Bigfoot hood, I kind of chuckled at that one. I didn't realize that was a term for it. I did when I was working in Tampa. We had some Bigfoot hoods. They were urbanized Bigfoot type.
Yeah,
but
some hoods you just gotta steer clear of them. I don't think I've ever actually put those two words together until just now. So. Yeah, there you go. There's one of my other Shannon-isms right there. Oh my God. I never fail to make an ass out of myself, so there you go.
You should write a book.
What about the Shannon-isms? Yeah. How big of an ass is Shannon gonna make of herself the next time she talks to somebody? Yeah. So what about any scary experiences? Have you ever been scared out there? I mean, besides the first time that, the whole rock throw and all that. I get that because I remember the first time I thought possibly it was a Bigfoot situation because it's very humbling, right? But besides that, did you have any scary experiences out there?
You kind of grow into being comfortable with yourself and your skills and stuff out in the woods. It took me a while to really adapt from never camping before to, now I'm perfectly fine going on solo camping trips and solo hiking expeditions and stuff like that. I have no problem doing that. And that just comes with time. Obviously, in the beginning I was scared. I would carry, 3 knives, a machete, some bear mace, and anything else, whistle. I don't know why I cared a whistle, but just in case. But that, over time you kind of get more comfortable in the woods. If you're referring to like any encounters that we may have had, there was one, we were doing a hike, filming the show actually. It's in the first season of our show. We were up in Whitehall, New York, and that's a very historic and famous place for Bigfoot reports. And we were split into 2 teams. We were hiking down this trail, and there was very close encounter. There was tree breaks, there was footfalls, and there was rock throws, and I mean, within yards of the team. That gets you really kind of on edge. I mean,
yeah.
It was cool. Looking back at it, it was cool. Didn't have to go to the bathroom after that little hiking trip anymore, so that was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's not natural for somebody to go in the woods at night, and the way we do our expeditions is very similar to that group that we don't mention. We do the red lights at night, and that's because we don't want to scare animals away. If you come romping through the woods with big red lights or big white lights and talking and stuff, then anything with any sense of intelligence is going to get the hell out of there. So we kind of go in a little stealthily sometimes. The other time I was really kind of taken back was, again, this is on, I believe, season 2 of the show. We were up in, I guess it was the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area up here in North Jersey, and we were hiking this power line cut, and we see something from the road up this big hill, and we see something on the thermal imaging camera, and it's big and hot, and it looks like it could be like a Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we're kind of sitting there looking at it, and it's moving around a little bit, and I'm like, you know, we got to go up there. Like, I don't really want to, but we got to go up and investigate. Like, that's why we're here. We got to see what it is. And anyway, to make a long story short, we pretty much stepped on a bear, and that wasn't too cool. It's all filmed if you want to watch me make an ass out of myself. The canonisms and then the Mike-isms, we could call them. That was not fun at all. Especially because it was like a baby bear, so Mom was kind of hanging out. You know.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but you know, that's pretty much the scariest thing. There's some other, you know, we've gotten, you know, coyotes really close to us. But the things that scare me out in the woods, especially when I go out solo or whatever, people say, oh, you know, there's so many bears, there's mountain lions, there's you know, anacondas and tigers, and I'm like, you know, the big animals don't scare me. It's the small things. Like, well, people scare me. I don't like to see people when I'm on these expeditions, because I know why I'm out there. I don't know why they're out there.
Right.
You know, they, especially like down in the Pine Barrens, like the mafia and stuff, like they could be very well hiding a body, and I might have just stumbled across that, and I don't want to be another body in there. So that's, I don't like seeing people. I don't like ticks. I've found some ticks on some areas that are very personal, and so I don't like them too much.
You don't want any ticks down there, no? Or
let me tell you, it really killed the vibe with my ex-girlfriend too.
You're like, you know, maybe we should wait because I found a little something, and she's like, what? No, I totally agree with the people thing, and then also the small things, because for me, it's, of course, everybody knows spiders. Yeah, ticks.
Spiders is my third thing. I don't like spiders.
Yeah, spiders and me we're not friends. And every time I mention this again on the show, there'll be, you know, another 20 memes on the Facebook page about, here's Shannon, here's some, you know, someone kissing a tarantula, and I'm like, screw you. In fact, when I was back in Ohio a few weeks ago with Seth and the guys, we got back in the truck, and it wasn't freezing cold there. There was no snow on the ground. Actually, it was quite mild for December in Ohio. But got in the truck, and Seth's driving, and I'm in the passenger seat, and the guys are in the back. And then all of a sudden, Seth goes, the heck is that? And something had dropped down from the ceiling of the truck, and he looked on his sleeve. And luckily, I don't know how he saw this thing because he had all black jacket on, but it was a tick right on him. And I was able to grab a napkin and, you know, snag that thing up. But you just assume when it's December in Ohio that you're safe from ticks, which are disgusting. And they could, I mean, if you get the wrong one on you and he latches on, heaven forbid, you know, the kind of things he could transfer to you. But, yeah, we weren't safe even December in Ohio. Those ticks are little bastards.
Yeah, that's actually strange. You'd think they'd all be dead, but yeah, I guess, I mean, it is a pretty mild winter, so yeah, it doesn't surprise me though.
Yeah, I've heard horrifying stories of you know, people coming across other people, and I know I've said this before, but if anyone's not heard me tell this little mini story, and I don't remember all the details, it's been a long time, but Micah Hanks of the Grayling Report was out on a hike with a friend of his or a girlfriend, and they were pretty far on this trail, you know, seemingly probably by themselves. and they saw a guy in blue overalls crouched behind a bush watching them. What the hell? That's no.
Nope.
Out. Bye.
Nope.
See ya.
Nope.
That's no.
Yeah.
Like that's hills have eyes shit. I mean, you don't screw with that. That's the end of the hike. People are horrifying.
Yeah,
you don't know what's going on.
No.
Okay, now that we're talking about guys in overalls,
go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you, but before I lose this quick thought, I just want to get your thoughts really quick because it may just be a quick nope, not at all. Do you think at all that Bigfoot may be opportunistic and some of the missing people out there might be attributed to Bigfoot?
Well, that's I get that asked a bunch. I don't think there's no reported any reports anywhere of Bigfoot ever attacking somebody. Now, that's not to say it doesn't happen, because obviously if Bigfoot attacks you, you're not going to be around to report it for for a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. There is a really cool series out. I'm sure some of you have read it. Missing 411.
Mm-hmm.
And although they don't come out and directly say that it was a Bigfoot that had taken these people, it kind of points to let your mind fill in the blanks type of thing. And I don't know. There's a few. I don't know. I think if you were to say corner somebody, like take humans for example, if you have your kid and you were cornered in your house, you would attack somebody that's coming after you or your kid. And I think Bigfoot is the same way. But I think they do a lot of intimidation to get you out of the area if you're close to their family group or whatever packs they may travel in or whatever. That's where you get the rock throws and the really aggressive tree knocks and the growls and stuff like that. But do I think that they're opportunistic and they attack people? I don't know. I don't think so. I'm gonna say no, because then I'm gonna be scared I'm gonna get myself psyched up to go solo hiking. So no, absolutely not.
Yeah, no. They never snatch anybody. No, that's where the movie exists. And I realize it's a movie, but the premise of it was interesting because, and I mean, it's been out for a while. I don't want to be an a-hole and spoil it for anybody, but maybe I shouldn't. But there was a reason at the end that this adult Bigfoot was attacking these people and actually, taking them out, basically killing them. There was a good reason, you find out for it. So it is kind of a thought where you're like, well, I guess I could see where, if we're not trying to put human traits on them, but of course if someone did that to whoever, then I'd probably have a problem with it. And maybe
I wouldn't even say you're putting human traits on it. Look at the other animals like bears and stuff, and all animals will protect their young. I mean, that's just a common thing.
Yeah, people always go, well, don't anthropomorphize them. That's what it's called. I probably still butchered the word. Can't ever spit that out right. But yeah, you put human traits on an animal, But yeah, you're right. I mean, they'll still defend and step for her, or a bear. You never want to cross a bear with their cubs. A mama bear will screw you up real quick. So. Oh
yeah, yep.
So how about? Did you? Because I totally interrupted you and I went off on this tangent. Do you remember what you were going to say, and then I interrupted you, or did you want me to go on to the next thing? I'm sorry.
No, I think I was just going to say that I have found some really creepy stuff out in the woods. I've never come across any like crazy people. I mean, I have, but not anything insane, nobody dressed up as a clown or anything, because that would really, I would be done with the woods after that. But I found some really weird stuff like some blood covered clothing,
no,
just really
random stuff. Seriously?
Yeah.
How far in the woods was that?
Yeah. Not far at all. It was actually right along a state park road out in Pennsylvania. And and it kind of sucks because a lot of times we're on a I'll tell you another story too after this. We're on a pretty tight schedule when we're filming and stuff, especially with our night ops, because you only get so long before the rain moves in, because it rains every time I go camping. So But yeah, that's a call to the forest rangers, and they got to come out and interview you and stuff. But that's okay. The one thing where we did come across somebody, and I'm not going to get too far into it, but just kind of like just very brief. We were driving to a location. This is actually the same night that I stepped on the bear. We were driving there, and we driving in middle of Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area. It's like 700,000 acres, middle of nowhere. Nobody's out there. We come across somebody walking on the side of the road. I thought it was a ghost. Like, we're just driving, and there's somebody just walking along the side of the road. I thought it was a ghost. I'm like, holy crap, now we're going to have to change the whole premise of the show. And now we're going to be ghost hunting instead of looking for Bigfoot. Like, I guess I can roll with that. That's kind of cool,
Right.
But then I was like, I look back and I'm like, no, that's a person. And we stop and we're like, should we go see if this person, because he didn't have anything. He was in flip-flops and a shirt, and it was cold.
Oh, gosh.
Like, no backpack and stuff. I'm like, we got to see if this guy's all right. I'm an EMT, so it's like, this guy, I not only legally, but morally, I got to see if this guy's okay. And, I'm very cautious, especially, this is at like 2:00 in the morning. All right. So at 2:00 in the morning, middle of godforsaken nowhere, you come across somebody on the side of the road. It's like, it's not a good scenario to start with. Ended up, the guy, very, very cool guy. He had some really serious mental issues. He was kind of going through like a little manic psychotic episode and ran away from his house and stuff. And then he was trying to hike the Appalachian Trail, which runs through there. And, it was to the point like he wasn't going to survive the night. He didn't have anything, no food, no water. And finally, we after like an hour of talking with him, I get him to give me his father's phone number, and his father comes out and everything. So I like to think we definitely helped that kid that night. Yeah, it's amazing what you're going to find when you're just going Bigfooting.
Yeah, you never know.
Crazy.
And sometimes you get sidetracked and you just can't help it. But that was a good thing that you did.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I would stress to anybody. Like, if not only with the show and Bigfooting and stuff, that's one thing, but just as people, like, if everybody listening, because I know your show is pretty popular, if everybody listening could do one good thing for somebody else every day, you know how much happier the world would be? Like, everybody would make somebody else's day. Like, I try to do that every day. Just, even if it's just like giving somebody a couple bucks or something, or, helping them out and letting them use my phone, any little thing. If everybody could just do that, it would just, everybody would be so much happier.
Or if you're angry, especially if it's a political thing, don't get on Facebook. If everybody just stayed away from Facebook on those days when you're just a little extra prickly, just say no to Facebook. That is a PSA from Mike and myself to everybody. So there you go. Mike's is a little bit better than mine. I'm just saying. Facebook can be a terrifying place. So what about footage, Mike, that you really feel is real? And again, it's just your opinion, it's just conjecture, but is there any footage out there that you're like, I really do think that's a Bigfoot?
Yeah, no, obviously, what got everybody, a lot of people, I shouldn't say everybody, but what got a majority of people into Bigfooting is, the Patterson-Gimlin film, back in 1974 or 6 or something like that. Bigfoot walking in Bluff Creek, California.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really cool, cool piece of footage. And I know a lot of people have very mixed interpretations of it. But sorry, I'm just trying to pull up something on the computer so I can give you a link real quick.
Yeah, no problem.
The Bigfoot community is like 50-50 when it comes to if that's actually real or not. But who knows? there are a couple other ones. Here we go. Go on YouTube. Tell you who uploads it. Okay, the uploader is it's Sasquatch Central.
Okay.
And the title of the video is called "This Bigfoot is Angry."
All right, I'm gonna write that down so I can link it for everybody. So you think that might be something legit?
Yeah, I do. You know, it's creepy. It's not great footage, but you know, it's has all the characteristics and traits of a Bigfoot, and it reminds me of something that I've seen in the woods that I know wasn't like a hoax or anything like that. So it's just a cool little video to watch. Also, I think some of the best evidence comes in the form of vocalizations. There's a guy who I'm good friends with. His YouTube name, let me go on the page real quick, is Sasquatch Bioacoustics.
Okay.
Bioacoustic. And it's all one word there. And he's awesome. He's a linguist for the military, and he actually breaks down and analyzes these clips. Whenever I get some possible evidence, I always send, you know, in the way of vocalizations or something like that, I send it to him, and he does a really good breakdown when it comes to what is characteristic of a Bigfoot, or what's a known animal, or what's a person. And there's this video that he posted a while back. It's called St. Louis County, Minnesota, Suspected Sasquatch Vocals. And you listen to that, and it'll blow your mind. Like, it's not, you know, you can read all the history behind it. There's a big write-up on it and stuff, and it's amazing. I think that's some of the best recorded evidence of a Bigfoot that is out there.
Okay. Oh, I've got the note down there, so I will be sure to link that in the show notes. St. Louis County, Minnesota. I will look that up for everybody so they can also watch that. So I did. Well, you saw, because you saw the track that was in there. You've already explained that for us. I put out the call if anybody had any questions, and there was a few through email and then Instagram. So if you want to answer a few of those, maybe.
Oh, I'd love to, absolutely.
So this one was through Instagram, and it is from Mitchell Smith. And he was wondering, do you think there is any connection between Bigfoot and the Jersey Devil?
Very good question. It's funny that were to come up. I did, there was a show down there. It's called Lines in the Pines. It's at Stockton University. And anyways, I met this reporter down there, and he interviewed me, and he did a big write-up in the Burlington County Times. It's still out there on the internet somewhere. I can get you the link if you wanted to link that one too. But he was curious about it. He asked the same question. There's so many reports of the Jersey Devil down here, and now you're saying that it's Bigfoot. And the way the article was written, some of the facts were a little skewed. But what was interesting, I got a lot of backlash from that. People were messaging me, and they were actually pretty angry, saying that, because I went and I said that I think a Jersey Devil, people that see the Jersey Devil are actually seeing a Bigfoot, because the way I look at it is you take Jersey. Okay, well, let's start from the beginning. Jersey Devil is the story behind it was in 1735. There was this lady named Mother Leeds, and she was giving birth to her 13th child. And she gave birth, no problem. And then all of a sudden, the child sprouted wings, grew horns and a tail, killed the mother, flew up the chimney and out screaming into the night, and still terrorizes people to this day. Now, I'm not, I don't major in biology or anything like that, but I think that that's probably folklore. I don't know, I can't really see that happening as a true, actual story.
Right.
So with that background being set, as I believe it's folklore, you still have people reporting seeing the Jersey Devil. I think back in the early 1900s, there was a huge influx of sightings. They closed schools down. The Philadelphia Zoo actually offered a $10,000 reward to anybody who captured a Jersey Devil and brought it to the zoo. And somebody actually, this is, documented that someone stole a kangaroo, painted it green,
oh God,
and glued wings to it, and then tried to turn it into the zoo. I have so many questions. Like, where do you get a kangaroo from? Because I want one.
Yeah, and then you're gonna paint it and then let it go. The hell with that! I'm gonna keep it.
Absolutely. Anyways, I digress. Then you look at what people report when they see the Jersey Devil. They see a 6 to 8 foot tall figure, bipedal, with glowing red eyes that make some sort of shrieking sound. Now, to me, as a Bigfoot researcher, that sounds like a Bigfoot. That's a lot of the reports report the same thing.
Right.
So, do I think people that report seeing the Jersey Devil are actually seeing a Bigfoot? Yes, I do. But I will say, kind of like I touched on before, you can't prove that something doesn't exist. I know the people of South Jersey and the Pine Barrens, they are very passionate about their Jersey Devil. That's, something that's near and dear, even if it may be folklore. You can't tell anybody it doesn't exist, because there are people that claim that they've seen it and are very passionate about that. So I'm not going to say that it doesn't exist. What I am going to say is I think that the sightings and the reports are very similar to that of a Bigfoot. So take that how you may. But I know the Pine Barrens is also really great habitat for a Bigfoot too. It's large tract of land between Maine and Florida, 1.1 million acres. I mean, of nothing of food, food and water.
Well, what if the Bigfoot's just smart enough to screw with us, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna find some horns and some wings, and a nice tail, and I'm really gonna screw with these people. And there you go, Jersey Devil. He's like, I've heard the stories too.
I mean, if they could find a way to fly, then that'd be cool. But no, I don't. Like I said, I don't know if there's a true connection. I do know that the people of down there are very passionate about the Jersey Devil. So I'm not gonna say that it doesn't exist, but I am gonna say that as a Bigfoot researcher, I think that there are Bigfoot down there. I don't think they're connected. I think they're two. If the Jersey Devil does exist, I think they're two separate cryptids. So I don't research the Jersey Devil. I research Bigfoot.
So this one also came through my Instagram account, and they ask, is there any activity in Stokes State Forest?
Yeah, Stokes. Stokes is really cool. So we were talking about like High Point before. So the thing with Stokes is it's a rather small tract of land in the grand scheme of things. Stokes is just, I believe it's just under 16,000 acres. But what it's really interesting about Stokes is that it's snuggled. It's like the meat of the sandwich in between High Point, the Delaware Water Gap, Worthington State Forest, and a whole handful of wildlife management areas. So when someone asks about a specific park, I say it's more of a region, and I would call that region the kind of northwest portion of Sussex County. Would be like the Kinnatini Mountain region. That's the mountain range that runs through there. It's part of the Appalachian Mountains. It's basically the New Jersey section of the Appalachian Mountains.
Right.
And they're all connected from the Delaware Water Gap all the way up into New York State. It's all one large tract of land. So, and Stokes is just a very, small portion of the whole thing. If you want to know specifically about Stokes, I've researched there a handful of times. I do know there is a couple cool tree structures there. There's some good areas. There's definitely some good areas, but you'd have to look at it more as a whole. And, like I said, like that whole region, I think 80 to 85% of reports in Sussex County come from that Kinnatini region. So I think they definitely move through there,
All right, this next one is also through Instagram, and it is from Jamie and Jenny King, two very lovely folks.
Jamie and Jenny,
yeah,
I love them.
Yeah, he figured that you might know who he was. He's like, oh, Mike's such a nice guy. He's got a question for you, too. He wants to know if, do you believe at all in the spiritual side of cryptids?
Yeah, he would ask that, wouldn't he? No, I love both of them. They're awesome people.
They are amazing.
I actually lived out in Ohio for a couple months, and we connected out there. Very, very cool people. So that's a very good question. So I think, now again, nobody's an expert. Belief is that a Bigfoot is an actual physical being. It's just like a person or like a bear. It's an actual biological animal. It bleeds, it leaves, it has a way of communicating, has a brain. I think it's just an undiscovered new species. Now you bring in the spiritual aspect of it, and that really is a different ball game. I think, to me, and it's different for everybody. Like, spiritual to me is like your very basic drive, your values and morals, and to me that's what a spiritual aspect of life is. And I know I have that spiritual kind of sense when I go out in the woods, especially by myself and stuff. I really connect with that nature and that something's greater than yourself. And I think that can be, there's like a gray line when it comes to, then you add in the whole Bigfoot research aspect of it. And there are people that like believe that their Bigfoots are like interdimensional. Some people believe that Bigfoots are connected to aliens, ghosts, and stuff like that. I don't believe that, but I can't knock anybody that does. I think it's great that they have an opinion on the matter. It's better than not having any opinion at all.
Right.
But I just don't philosophize with that mindset. I think if you do believe in kind of that aspect of things, again, I'm not knocking you, but I think you can get more into the spiritual realm of that aspect of cryptozoology and of Bigfoot research if you do believe that they are this kind of mythical being and can, do whatever powers that are greater than humans. That's where I think the spiritual line gets crossed. For me personally, like I said, I think Bigfoot is a flesh and blood type animal, and when it comes to my spiritual stuff, and like I said, everybody's spiritual thing is different in life. Everybody believes something different. Everybody holds different values. For me, it's spiritual when I'm sitting next to this river and the sun comes shining down on me and I realize that this is, beautiful. That's my spiritual place. But, do I think that it's connected with Bigfoot personally? No, but I know that a lot of people do. And, I think going back to the whole reason why I do this show and why, I get into Bigfooting is if it gets you outside and connected and into nature, then that's awesome.
Absolutely.
And, that's all that matters, really.
All right, next up, this was through my email.
I hope that answered that question.
What's that?
I hope that answered that question.
Oh, yeah, definitely. No, absolutely. That was perfect. Yeah, my through my email, this next one, and of course my email is shannon@intothefrayradio.com. And guys, also the hotline is still up and available. If you guys want to call in, you can leave your encounters there. If you need more time, just call back. and that number is 877-317-9111. So that is toll free. You guys can call that any time. It's not like I'm going to pick up in the middle of the night and go, why the hell are you calling me? It's a hotline, so no one's going to answer. So this one was an email from Jesse Vega of All Things Paranormal. And he wanted to know, he's got a couple questions. He wanted to know what your favorite investigation was so far.
Oh, man, that's a good question. You know, it depends on what you would define as favorite. Like the most activity we've ever had was up in Whitehall, New York. That was a really cool, really awesome expedition. We've been up there. I think I've been up there 5 or 6 times. It's just so great. I keep going back. In the way of evidence, that's probably my favorite place to investigate. Just because, you know, it's beautiful. It's in the Adirondack Mountains. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love everything about the area, especially in the fall time. If you go up there in the fall, that's when the activity actually spikes. It's just amazing. It's talk about spiritual. It's an amazing place. If I had to pick one expedition that I would do again every year, it would have to be going down in the Pine Barrens. And the reason for that is we have not had a whole bunch of activity in the Pine Barrens. We found some footprints along this river a couple different times that we've been down there, which is really cool. And they're all in the show and stuff. But the reason why I picked that location is because I have a few really good friends that live down that way, and when we get together down there for an expedition, you know, it's more of a family gathering than anything else. There's, you know, we have a big cookout one night. You know, people come in, they play music. We all sit around a campfire and chat and you know, cook hot dogs and burgers, and just it's like a big family reunion. It's people, you know, I live about 3 hours away from down there, so it's nice to be able to just connect with everybody and old friends and stuff down there. Plus, the fishing is amazing down there. You get your kayak and stuff, and the sunsets on the lake. It's just it's more of a vacation than it is an expedition. So if I could do that every year, multiple times a year, I would definitely do that. So that would be my favorite investigation, is down there.
I love going fishing. I wish I could fish every day.
Oh, yeah.
But here I am in the desert.
Well, you live in... Yeah, well, hey, you know, at least it's not ice. We got an ice fish up here, so there you go.
Yeah, that's no joke.
You're
actually.
You're in Las Vegas. You can go to the Bellagio. Don't they have fish in the little fountain there?
Yeah, if you want to. Maybe probably get arrested. I mean, I'm sure that you have enough to drink. Maybe you could jump in there and, you know,
there you go.
Metro will come through probably for the 6th time of the night and fish you out. You know, you're the one getting fished out of the water. You never know what you're going to see on this trip.
I do incorporate, when I'm not filming too much for the show, when I'm just out doing whatever, I do incorporate that into bigfooting too, because I'll pick areas to go fishing and take my boat out into where there are Bigfoot reports, because if you look at it, hunting and fishing has a very high percentage of those people that have sight.
See them on the shores, and you know, or they're coming in, they're wondering what the hell you're doing. They're interested in you. Yeah, absolutely. That's part of research, fishing. See?
Hey, I'll take it.
That's right. All right, so Jesse's question was, what do you consider your most convincing piece of evidence so far to date? Out of all the years that you've been doing this, what's your maybe most convincing piece of evidence?
Best piece of evidence. You know, I do this thing I have a new series coming out. We can, if we don't mind, we'll talk about that in a second. It's one of the episodes I do my top 5 pieces of evidence that I've ever found. And we talked about the high point tracks in the snow there. That was pretty cool. I think the best piece of evidence that I myself have collected, we got up in the Catskill region in New York State. We were out there one winter, and it was, I mean, the Catskills is like 2-3 hours north of me, and it was winter, so I was getting cabin fever pretty bad. So I'm like, you know what? I called up a buddy. I'm like, let's go camping. It's it's in the 40s here. That's great. Let's just go up there and camp, for a couple nights. So we go up there, and well, it's a higher elevation. It's colder. It's further north. There was like 2 feet of snow up there, and I didn't realize that. So there was no snow where we were. So here we are in the middle of the woods, found this road that was almost plowed, and we tried to set up base camp. It was too cold. It was like 15 degrees. The wind was blowing. Could barely get a fire going. So we just decided to sleep in the cars. And so we're, hanging out by the cars or whatever. And I'm like, listen, I know it's cold, but we're up here and it's a really squatchy area. Let's just go for a little walk. Maybe we'll do a Bigfoot call, but let's just go out for like 10 minutes or whatever. So, we got the voice recorder going, walking down to the end of this, gravel road that's semi-plowed. And we're not talking, we're not doing any vocalizations, nothing, just being quiet, walking. And we hear this howl. It's a howl. There's no other way to describe it besides, the things that you think a Bigfoot is. That's what we heard. And then that got the coyotes like absolutely going crazy. Mm-hmm. And we ended up recording it, capturing it on recording. And again, we just talked about that Sasquatch bioacoustic. I sent that clip to him. He came back with this big email saying that, the way that the vowels are, it goes from a ooh, like a ooh, ah, like an O to an A sound. No animal can do that. No known animal can do that. So it was either a person or a Bigfoot. And we were in the middle of nowhere in 15-degree weather with 2 feet of snow on the ground. Like, there's nobody in the middle of the night. There's nobody out there. Like, and I could even see, like, I could even have a doubt that it might be someone else if we did a call.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and then someone called back, but we didn't do anything. This is totally not trying to get a response. We were just walking silently, and this happened.
No reason for really anybody to mess with you because they didn't know you were there.
Right, yeah. No, and it came from a ways away too, so it's not like it was right next to us. If you guys want to listen to it, it's on. We did post it on the YouTube page, and yeah, it's called ISOBRE, which is in the shadow, bigger eye, Best Sasquatch Vocalization.
I will link that as well. Yeah, everybody likes to hear, when the guest thinks something is, out of all the years, this is the best thing or one of the best things. I get excited about that stuff too because I know how much time you guys put out in the woods, and a lot of times it's less exciting than going fishing. You can go out 10, 15, maybe even more times, spending the money still and not getting anything in return. So it's always cool to hear. And you're like, oh, this is cool. Like, listen to this.
Yeah. And, I'll tell you, a lot of people, I've gotten a lot of flack from people saying, commenting on the YouTube videos and stuff, saying you're never going to find anything with all these cameras and stuff out in the woods. And that's a very good point. I think if the best way to get evidence of a Bigfoot is to go into an active area, sit down, be silent for the entire night with a voice recorder, sit, listen, and maybe a thermal imaging camera. Maybe. That's the best way to get evidence.
You're saying sit there by yourself or with a group of people?
It doesn't matter. As long as you're silent, you're going to hear something, and hopefully it's a Bigfoot. Now, that's boring, and if I wanted to make a show that is 100% research, it would be a black screen for an hour long of me sitting in the woods, not doing anything.
No, that's true. That is 100% true. That's what people don't understand.
Right, and the majority of the time, Bigfooting is very boring. It is. I mean, yeah, you're outside and stuff. That's awesome. But if you actually want evidence, it doesn't happen every trip. Like that's another thing. Like I'll put an episode out there that has no evidence whatsoever. But that's what Bigfooting is. It's you're not going to get something to out. And people say, oh, don't put the trail cameras up because they can see them. Don't bring all this camera stuff and infrared lights because we need infrared to shoot in the night vision. And it's like, well, they're going to run away and see that. Yeah, if they're sensitive to electronic equipment and stuff like that, that's fine. But you're not going to get any evidence if you don't have a way to record it.
Right. See, but something that you said earlier really rings true with me. In all the years that I've been looking at this stuff, and I haven't been able to go out as much as a lot of you guys do, and I wish that I could, but you said the words, if a Bigfoot let you see him. And for the most part, I really do feel like that is exactly what happens. They make the choice, they kind of do the tree peek, or they're doing the sway, or they walk across the road. Of course, they know your car is there for the most part. I do think that they do. They're just like, well, screw it. I'm just going to cross the road and take the risk.
Absolutely.
But you let,
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not to where it's always a baiting situation.
There's no way that you're going to sneak up on one of these guys in the middle of the woods. It's not going to happen.
Well, see, and that's what's interesting about what you just said about whether it's you or, 2 or 3 of you going out and just being quiet. And a lot of people are of the mindset that they have to go out and make as much noise as possible, or they're going to, have chats and everything. And not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm not downgrading that. I'm not making fun of anybody. I'm just saying that what you're saying is, at least what I get what you're saying is, they know you're there. You can be as silent as a mouse and just sit and listen. And like you said, get a recorder out. They know that you're there. They're going to know. And guess what? If they want to let you know that they're there, they will.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The only reason why we do like vocalizations and stuff to try to get a response is to get a Bigfoot interested in coming in closer to us. Say if they're a little far away and they hear like I'm sure when I do a Bigfoot call, I don't know what I'm saying,
right?
But it's probably something a little messed up. Like, and a Bigfoot's like, why is Johnny saying that? Let me go check that. And then they realize it's a person. They're like, oh, well, while we're here, let's take a look and see what they're doing. That's how you're going to get evidence. You're not going to sneak up on one of these guys sleeping. You're not going to, run across one and have dinner with them. They're going to come in and check you out. And it's, if they make a mistake where they get too close and you see them, then that's when you're going to have things. When people do have sightings is when they make a mistake. And for me, I hope that I have my camera going when they make a mistake, because I want to document it. I want people to, I want to know what it is. I want to go back and look at that and say, that's what I've been searching for this whole time. And that's why I bring cameras out with me. And that's why we film all the time, is because, they might be far away from us, but they can smell all the cologne and deodorant that we wear as soon as we step out of the car.
Oh God. And we're bumbling so loud through the woods. And when we think we're being quiet, we're not. And there's a reason that deer hunters and elk hunters, they go out there basically in the middle of the night and go set up, and they can't have any sense on them. And guys, that's just deer. Not that they're the dumbest thing on the planet, but if we're talking about the difference between an ungulate and then a Bigfoot, right? Come on. Mm-hmm. They know that you're out there. So that's why it really rang true with me what you said earlier about, well, if they let you see them. And I really think most of the time that is the case. Most of the time. But they do mess up. Like you said, they're not always perfect. But they're not perfect enough to where we have a body yet. So
exactly. Yeah. But that's the cool part about it. And that's what, I don't know. And that's why, I said in the very beginning, Bigfoot's addicting. And that's those little slip-ups that they do, that little howl that they let out, that little whistle that they do to try to get a reaction from you, or those rock throws or something, that footprint that you find, that's what keeps me going about it. I don't know. It's so awesome that, we were up in High Point on this one road in the forest, and we got these howls that were probably a Bigfoot. And I was sitting there, I'm like, man, that's why I do this. Like, I didn't even get like, oh my God, let's run towards them, let's try to do a call back. I was so happy that I'm like, man, that's why I'm out here. Like, it was just talk about the spiritual connection. It was awesome.
You know, that'll never be High Point for me. I called it Hyde Park in the beginning, so now it's stuck in my head like that for some reason. I don't know why I thought it was Hyde Park, but no.
Hyde Park, yeah.
That's what I heard, I guess.
I believe that's in the city, actually.
I think so. Yeah, Hyde Park. I think it's I think that's a fancy restaurant in Crocker Park in Westlake, Ohio. I was just talking about that with Seth. He's like, "Oh, I love Crocker Park. I think Hyde Park is their steakhouse." maybe I want a steak. I don't know. Who knows? Some baked potato. Okay, Mike. So before I let you go, let's talk about your new series you mentioned.
Oh yeah. Just real quick, it's something I wanted to do in the off season. Just because in the winter we don't really film and do expeditions. Generally, that's when me and my crew, we kind of take a little break. I know December and January is kind of like the off seasons where we just kind of relax. But I'm not one to sit back and be bored. So what I decided to do was do this new series called Squatchables, which I think is a really clever title. I don't know. Every time I say it, it's basically like an Bigfooting 101. It's I don't think it's ever been done as a series before, but it's a short little 15-minute video that we put together, and it covers different aspects of just the very basics, how to get into Bigfooting. And we cover, like, each episode covers something different. I know the first 2 episodes are like principles of Bigfooting, like what Bigfoot is, how to, different techniques and stuff that we do, just kind of like a basic intro to it. Then we have like an episode on trail cameras and the best ways to use them and the settings to put on them. Another episode is like what to bring camping. Another one is hiking and how to read trail markers and if you're stranded, wilderness first aid, investigative equipment, how to collect evidence, how to cast a track. And that kind of stuff. So it's and like I said, I don't think anybody's done anything quite like it so far. But that's another effort on my part to do our underlying mission is to get people outside into the woods. So hopefully that they can see anybody can go Bigfooting, anybody can go outside and go for a hike. And I hope that kind of brings people, especially like in the off season when we don't have new episodes coming out. And new kind of like bring our fans on YouTube and our followers. This will be a great way to kind of keep us connected and hopefully prepare people for the spring to get outside and get them excited to go out.
So in one of your squad videos on collecting hair, like do you show that you probably shouldn't like pick it up and roll it between your hands and maybe lick it a couple times to see it has like some kind of a Bigfoot tang to it? Maybe avoid doing that. We go over evidence collection. What I have in my day pack, we go over everything in my evidence collection kit, how to collect evidence properly. If you find a hair, how to bag it, how to tag it, and how to wear gloves. And in your kit, you need tweezers and that kind of stuff, just so people can get if they do happen to come across some evidence that we're out here for the research aspect of it. And we got to do the research the right way, because there's so many things that, good evidence that people collect, like those footprints that I was talking about before. You come across a good print, like a really good print in the ground. You take a picture of it. That's great, but you don't cast it. You don't have the scale item next to it. You don't take pictures and document where they're coming from and where they're going to. You need to do all that stuff to research this thing. And hopefully that's what people kind of gain from that episode anyway. The evidence collection is how to really truly research this, not just go out and do howls in the woods, but from a research standpoint. That's kind of this is what we need to do to prove a species exists. So that's all on Sussex County Bigfoot on YouTube, correct?
Yep, that's The series premiere is February 10th at 9:00 Eastern time. We have all of them already uploaded to YouTube, except one. I have to film one more episode, but it's been really cold up here, so we got to wait for some good weather to do that. But yeah, I think they're going to come out pretty much weekly. So there's 11 or 12 episodes, and they'll come out, I believe, every Sunday evening at 9, and that'll take us right into the spring when we start filming again.
Well, Mike, it's so good to finally talk to you. I know it's been long overdue. And, if you guys have something coming out that you're really excited about, or, another premiere is coming out, just say, hey, Shannon, I want to hop on for a little bit and talk about it. Or if something really amazing happens too, you're welcome on anytime.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. Thank you so much. It's been awesome talking and chatting with you for a while. And if everybody wants to go, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Sussex County Bigfoot. Again, I'm not in it to make a lot of money, but the more subscriptions, the more I have a chance at making, my goal happen, and that's getting these episodes out to people and getting out in the woods. And, who knows, it may come across the right person. You'll see me on TV one day. I don't know, not holding my breath for it, but subscribe. Our Instagram, we do some behind the scenes posts over there, kind of like stuff that you won't see on our YouTube page. And our Facebook page is In the Shadow of Big Red Eye, just for updates and stuff like that. If you guys have any questions about anything, go ahead. You can shoot me a Facebook message. That's the easiest way to get in touch with me, is go onto that In the Shadow page and just send a message. And either myself or one of our team members over here will get it and get back to you as soon as possible.
Awesome, Mike. Well, thank you so much. And guys, if you need any of the links, they will be in the show notes, and I will also put it on Facebook and Instagram. Well, Mike, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm so-and-so. I was given this name by my parents. I've been to such and such a college. I've done these things in my profession. I produce a little biography. Buddha says, forget it. That's not true. That's some story. That's all gone. That's all past. I want to see the real you are now. Well, nobody knows who that is. Because we don't know ourselves except through listening to our echoes and consulting our memories. But then there's a real you, and that again leads us back to this question. Who are you? That is the real you. We shall see how they play with this exam by the koans to get you to come out of your shell and find out who you really are. past doesn't exist. The future doesn't exist. There is only the present. That's the only real you that there is. The Zen master Dogen put it in this way. He said, the spring does not become the summer. First there is summer, and then there is spring. When you settle down in the train to read your newspaper and so on, you are not the same person who a little while ago left the platform. If you think you are linking your moments up in a chain. And this is what binds you to the wheel of birth and death. But when you know that every moment in which you are is the only moment, this comes into Zen. A master will say to somebody, get up and walk across the room. And he comes back and he says, where are your footprints? They've gone. So where are you? Who are you? When we are asked who we are, we usually give a kind of recitation of a history.